What's up, beautiful people? Jen here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jenna Lee, the internet's girl next door, aka Jen Sparkly, commander of the Sparkle Army. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel and hanging out in my corner of the internet. I hope you'll stay. I'm a lot of fun, I promise. Today, it's time for another episode of Jen's 10s. That is the series where I share with you my top 10 whatever, because this is my channel and I will count down whatever the hell I want. Yeah. Today I'm counting down my top 10 favorite 90s sitcoms. Hang out. What's up, beautiful people? What's up, beautiful people? What's up, beautiful people? What's up, beautiful people? Alright, so my top 10 90s sitcoms, and let me be clear before I start this, because I know there's a couple of you in particular who will probably want to make a "you're showing your age here" joke. Yeah, I know. I came of age in the 90s. I was born in the 80s, so yes, okay? So, at number 10, 90210. Now, granted, when this show started, I was like right on that preteen threshold. And of course, 12, 13 then is not what 12, 13 is now. We actually looked like kids then because, you know, at 13 you are a kid. But I was like 11 or 12 when the show first started. And my interest waned after the first couple of seasons, but those first like two and a half seasons, I was locked in. Number 9, Mr. Show, featuring Bob and David. Now, before one of them became Tobias Funke of Arrested Development fame, and before the other one became super lawyer Saul Goodman, they were Bob Odenkirk and David Cross, the hosts of HBO's Mr. Show with Bob and David. They made very irreverent sketch comedy, the idea being that every sketch would literally bleed into the next as the show went on. They worked with such comedians as Jill Talley, Dino Stamatopoulos, and a guy named Tom Kenny, who went on to voice a cartoon character. I forget his name though. Anyway, if you're ever interested, track down Mr. Show with Bob and David, make yourself a sandwich with some mustard mayonnaise, and let me know what you think. Number 8, Camp Bonawana, we hold you in our hearts, and when we think about you, it's I hope we never part. Now get it right or pay the price. If you don't know that song, shame on you. Salute Your Shorts was an absolute staple of after-school Nickelodeon television for all of us kids in the 90s. Featuring Danny Cooksey, who played the character Bobby Budnick. He went on to voice numerous characters in various Nicktoons and I think even some Disney Channel shows. Venus DeMilo, who went on to do a whole lot of different guest starring roles in various Disney shows and had a recurring role on the show Blossom, which you might hear a little bit about later on in this countdown. Anyway, check it out. Glorious 90s goodness. Number 7, News Radio. Whenever lists are compiled of the most underrated shows of all time, you will always see News Radio on that list. And if you don't, the critics don't know what they're talking about. This cast included a pre-superstardom Joe Rogan, Maura Tierney, a pre-insanity Andy Dick, and the incomparable late Phil Hartman. And for those of you Kids in the Hall fans, Dave Foley. Dave Nelson. Dave Foley. Dave Nelson. I'm blanking. You know who I'm talking about. Anyway, one of my all-time favorite jokes from any sitcom ever is from this show. As the title probably gives it away, it's set at a news radio station, okay? The main set is like the office of the station. You know, you've got your long table where writers work together. You've got the office on this side. And anyway, straight to the back of the set is like a spiral staircase that leads up to the actual recording booth where you go in and you do your segment. So, the show opens up and you see Andy Dick's character Matthew is in the booth. And you see everybody standing in the office downstairs, like freaking out, like looking at each other horrified. Finally, Matthew, Andy Dick's character's segment ends. He comes bebopping down the stairs like, well, that went well, don't you think? And someone just leans over and whispers in his ear, and he says, oh, it's pronounced Buttafuoco. I fell out laughing. Such a simple joke set up so brilliantly and just executed perfectly. Seriously, check out News Radio. You will be so glad you did. Number 6, Blossom. Jenna, has anyone ever told you look like the girl from Blossom? Oh my God, you look just like Blossom. Jenna, what's that girl's name on that show, Blossom? Mayim something? You look like her. From the inception of the show Blossom, I was inundated with people telling me I look just like her. And I won't lie. During the run of Blossom, I loved the show, but never saw the resemblance. However, years later, when Mayim Bialik joined the cast of Big Bang Theory to play the role of Amy Farrah Fowler, I saw it immediately. We are built very similarly. We have the very same face shape, and I have more of a reddish tint to my hair because I'm Irish, but we are both natural brunettes with, you know, long faces. Honestly, I get it now. But Blossom was like the quintessential, like, 90s show. The fashion was so 90s. Blossom was like the hip, funky girl in school who wore crazy hats with big flowers on. Okay, no girl in school did that. Her best friend's real name was Jenna. Played 6, of course. And her big brother was Joey Lawrence. Whoa! Check out reruns of Blossom. Honestly, it was in the sweet spot on Monday nights because it followed The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and what better lead-in show in the mid-90s could you ask for? Number 5 is Freaks and Geeks. One season, underrated as fuck. Okay, this show starred Linda Cardellini, Busy Phillips, Seth Rogen, James Franco, Jason Segel. Every single one of them were cast regulars. That was your core cast, okay? The showrunner, a guy named Judd Apatow. You may have heard of him. Seriously, it's set in late 70s high school in the middle of suburbia. Linda Cardellini plays Lindsay, a character who is kind of on the verge of wanting to grow and change, but not being entirely sure what that means. You know how you are when you're a teenager. And she was a mathlete and a goody two-shoes, and she just hit a point in her life where she wanted something different for herself, and it shows her growing into that and making a new circle of friends. I wish it had gone on for more than one season, but the one season we got was friggin' glorious. If you haven't watched it, watch it. Freaks and Geeks. Seriously. Number 4, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. If you grew up in the 90s and didn't watch The Fresh Prince, you're a liar. I don't believe you. It was an absolute staple of everyone's Monday night back then. This is before the Monday Night Wars took off. This was the quintessential Monday night sitcom. And think about it. Everyone remembers Will and Jazz's handshake. Psh. Everybody can mentally recall Jazz getting thrown out on the front lawn by Uncle Phil. Ah! And who doesn't know the Carlton dance? It's not unusual. Okay. I'm back. Regardless, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Number 4. Numero tres. Number 3. My So-Called Life. Another one season, underrated, absolute classic. As sad as it was then to lose it after one season, much like with Freaks and Geeks, it never jumped the shark. It never lost its steam. It went in strong, it went out strong. It's encapsulated forever in time as this little piece of history that was just glorious beginning to end. It was the 95-96 season. I was 13, 14, so right at the apex of teen angst, and that is what this show had in spades. Teen angst. Again, the main character, Angela Chase, played by the incomparable Claire Danes, begins the series with a switch from a social group, from being the goody two-shoes girl to dyeing her hair bright red and running with a slightly wilder crowd. Are y'all seeing a theme here in my favorite shows by any chance? The fact that this show was tackling and addressing things as early as 1995. Rayanne, the best friend, OD'd halfway through the season. Ecstasy was openly discussed. Ricky, her best friend, was bisexual openly and would put on makeup with them in the girls' bathroom. These things weren't discussed on 1995 television. These kind of characters did not exist in 1995 television. So it was groundbreaking in so many different ways. But what really made My So-Called Life so amazing for so many of us little teenage girls was we felt a real connection with Claire Danes as Angela. She just slayed that any girl character. We all saw ourselves in Angela Chase. And the guy that she was in love with, Jordan Catalano, you guys might know him as Jared Leto. 30 Seconds to Mars, be damned, that's Jordan Catalano. And my favorite moment from the entire series, and I'm pretty sure just about every teenage girl will tell you this, it is the scene where Angela is hanging out in the hallway, like at her locker with Ricky and Rayanne, and they're talking, and you see Jordan Catalano like walk into the hallway, and she's trying to play it cool and talk to her friends, but you know how it is. You see the guy you're crazy about all up in your peripheral, and he walks toward them and walks up to her, and in that way he has is, hey, can we go somewhere and talk? And of course Angela says yes, and they're walking away, and he reaches down and grabs her hand and holds hands with her. The last scene of that episode is the camera pans up while he can't see her as they're turning a corner, and she just kind of grins to herself and tucks her hair behind her ear. Like, every girl has known a guy that has given them that feeling, that just weightless, you can do anything, you feel like the most beautiful woman in the world feeling. And it's been a really long time since anyone's made me feel like that. Guys, come on. I'm awesome. Step it up. Where's my Jordan Catalano? Okay, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, because he was a dick. Anyway, numero dos, Full House. If you know me, you knew that was going to be on the list. You knew it. You knew it. Absolute favorite of mine. Part of the original ABC television TGIF lineup, which also featured shows like Family Matters and later on Boy Meets World. But in the early to mid 90s, TGIF was an absolute staple of pretty much every family's Friday night. I remember my dad telling me a story about how when he coached my brother's baseball team, they were having practice on a Friday night and it was starting to get late, and one of the kids said, Coach John, isn't it about time to go? My dad said, why? And he goes, Dad, or he said, Coach John, it's Friday, TGIF. And my dad said, I kid you not, Jenna. As soon as he said that, I thought, damn, it is Friday. All right, wrap it up, guys, wrap it up. And that immediately made him think, yeah, it's time to get home, get showers, get dinner, and watch some TGIF. That's kind of how it was, I think, for a lot of families. But back then, again, the show started in like 88, 89 and ran until like 95. And it wasn't the deepest show, obviously, because it was meant to wrap up serious emotional things within that 22-minute span. But it did touch on eating disorders with DJ. It touched on underage drinking with both DJ and Stephanie. It covered a lot to be such an innocent show. So yeah, if you haven't ever seen Full House, where have you been your whole life? I mean, come on. Now, before I get to my number one, I do have two honorable mentions. The first of which is In Living Color. The launching pad for the entire Wayans family. Keenan Ivory Wayans, Kim Wayans, Marlon Wayans, Sean Wayans, you name it. It was also the launching pad of a career for a guy named Jim Carrey, you may have heard of. And they also employed a young dancer who was a wannabe actress by the name of Jennifer Lopez. Needless to say, this show was stocked to the brim with talent that was just hungry to really make their mark in show business. And to be an early 90s sketch comedy show, they were very irreverent. They tackled race jokes. They tackled homophobia jokes. There was no stone left unturned in an episode of In Living Color. If you haven't watched it, check it out. And I've noticed there's definitely been like a resurgence of popularity since Bruno Mars and Cardi B put out the Finesse remix that featured the set from In Living Color and definitely was very throwback as far as the aesthetic and the feel of it. If you haven't ever seen In Living Color, check it out. I give that 2 snaps up in a circle. My other honorable mention is The Adventures of Pete and Pete. This started out as just a series of 1-minute shorts on Nickelodeon featuring the brothers Big Pete and Little Pete. And I always loved this show, especially when it blew up into like an actual 30-minute series, because with the exception of Big Pete, everyone in the town of Wellsville was just really bizarre in a weird way. You had Little Pete, who just did not do authority at all. You had Ellen, who was the quintessential sweet girl next door. And then you had Artie, the strongest man in the world. You also had Petunia, Little Pete's dancing tattoo. Don't ask. They also had a theme song done by the Lemonheads, which, awesome for the 90s. Just screams 90s. But Big Pete kind of played the straight man, if you will, the voice of reason in the middle of all of this insanity going on around him. But at the end of the day, he and Little Pete were super tight and nothing would break that bond. Very, very sweet show, and it displayed a really unique family dynamic in a really irreverent way. If you haven't watched The Adventures of Pete and Pete, definitely check it out. It is a great, great show. And now my number one, and I know if you know me, you already know what it is. When I wake up in the morning and the log is out of warning, I don't think I'll ever make it on time. It's alright, 'cause I'm saved by the bell. I've got to stop singing to y'all. Y'all are all going to unsub. You knew it. You knew it was going to be Saved by the Bell. Originally called Good Morning Miss Bliss, this was actually a show for the Disney Channel. Miss Bliss, the teacher, was played by Haley Mills, a very famous, very beautiful, very talented actress. The show was not finding its footing, however, on the Disney Channel. Brandon Tartikoff, who was running NBC at the time, saw something in it and wanted to retool it. He unfortunately did pull Haley Mills out and kept only 3 of the original cast members, and that would of course be Zach Morris, Samuel Screech Powers, and Lisa Turtle. And they moved it from Indiana at John F. Kennedy Junior High to Palisades, California. And instead of making it about the life and inner workings of the teachers at the school, they made it about the students themselves. They then cast Elizabeth Berkley as Jessie Spano, Mario Lopez as A.C. Slater, and Tiffany Amber Thiessen as Kelly Kapowski, and just a menagerie of peripheral characters. The other cheerleaders, the bimbos, the dingy girls, the nerds. You know, there was all high school stereotypes, but it was played tongue-in-cheek. It was never done cruelly or harshly. And bada bing, bada boom. You've got lightning in a bottle. You have characters that people really cared about. And to this day, it's still living in syndication everywhere. 25 years later, there are kids watching this show. It's crazy. So, yeah, Zach Morris was one of my very first TV crushes. Come on, man. He's still hot. God, Mark Paul Gosselaar is still so hot. Rare. But yeah, Saved by the Bell, of course, my number one 90s TV show. What are your favorite shows from the 90s? Talk to me. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, share this video. We are so close to 1,000 subs. Share this video. Tell everybody how awesome I am. Let's get the Sparkle Army up to 1,000 plus. As always, if you love me and you want to help this channel grow, think about becoming a patron. All of that info is in the description box below, as is my PayPal information. Check out my Discord. Come hang out. And yeah, all my social media links will also be in the description box below. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. And hang out with me on Snapchat. I promise I'm a ton of fun. Don't forget those coupon codes as well. Go shopping on me. Save some money. Until next time, guys, I love y'all. Y'all stay beautiful.